Previously on When They Podcast.
Then at the end, right when like Kichi puts the pieces together of not giving the doll to Mion, I was like, oh god, it is Mion, and I just was like, oh god, I almost cried.
How does Shion, who's never met Keiichi, knows what Keiichi looks like?
I'll say this much about Shion. Normally, I don't like it's like the twist villain thing, where they're just well, I guess Shion is depending for the wacky hijinks portion of it, she's definitely a twist villain in a way.
I will give him defense, like not giving the doll. Like if that happened to me, I would have no idea.
I'd be like, and I'm supposed to know this so you don't kill my friends?
Yeah, that point I was just like, when she's like, if only you could have given that doll. A part of me was like, are you fucking serious?
Who could possibly sound like Shion? Who could do the perfect Shion impersonation?
I literally go,
of
you're
course,
an idiot.
It's Oishi. This is Shion Sonozaki, and you're watching Disney Channel.
Man, I can't believe that Higurashi was all a dream.
Yeah, I know, right? Hello, everybody. What are we doing? We're doing
Higurashi When They Podcast.
Yes.
So welcome. We are discussing book 5 of Higurashi.
We have gotten through 5 books. We finished this one, which is part of the answer arc, I think it's called.
Yep, we are now. The question arcs are over. Time to answer.
And there's been some answers and even more questions. So,
yeah.
Here's a question. Who are we? I am the Wash.
I'm random bystander here.
This book is messed up.
Oh my god.
I'm not even gonna try to come up with a funny intro. Just wow.
Jesus.
Every time I come back and read this, I'm just like, wow.
Jesus Christ.
I'm never gonna read this again.
There was some shit that made me sick. Literally. There was one point I messaged Kirby fan, I was like, I feel sick. I almost stopped. But I didn't, thankfully. But there were I could name 2 or 3 times I was just almost puke. On my monitor.
It's time for the obligatory SpongeBob reference. Fingernail.
I literally made that joke to Kirby.
Yeah,
you don't even have fingernails.
I cannot believe what I am hearing.
How can you hear it? You don't have ears either.
That's maybe the next book.
Look, honestly, for all we know, the next book, they could be aliens are invading, and would you really be surprised?
Can I just say, can I say straight up, I was thinking about Higurashi, where the hell he's gonna end. If it's going the way I think it's going, I'm not so sure about this. But if it turns out that Chorn was behind all of this, I'm back on board, baby.
Chorn. I don't know about aliens, but usually I'm pretty good at spotting the plot because I'm a writer. I've written things. I usually see how things go from plot A to plot B. But this writer, Ryokishi, he just every single time I think I have a grasp of what's going on, he's just haha, fuck you, and just introduces something else where I'm just what? Which is great.
One of my favorite Ryokishi quotes is, "When they cry, I laugh."
Oh yeah, that's oh yeah. I understand that, but
All right, so I would like to tackle this a little differently today. Instead of doing chapter by chapter, we will get, I guess, a bit more into the specifics when we're done if we feel necessary. But there are, I'll do the plot synopsis, and then there is 3 talking points, 3 main talking points I want to talk about, and then anything that, we miss, you guys can cover at the end. Or when we're done. So, quick plot synopsis before we get started. Shion is the protag of this. She escapes, her prison, I guess you could call it. It's high school, And
high school is a prison.
I mean, you got that right. So she escapes, and through circumstance, she meets a certain mysterious character who we've been being teased a lot in the last 4 books. We will get to him. And she slowly starts really, really liking him.
Liking him is an understatement.
And then the things that we know happen, and things get wild.
Ooh, boy.
I can't think of a way to describe the plot without going into details that will make Wash say they want to quit the podcast. So the first thing I wanted, this one's actually probably, well, I could talk about this forever. I'm sure I can make it pretty quick, but every time I come back and I read this one, the first thing that always jumps out at me, I guess the easiest way to say it in terms of like translating it to overseas would be like freelance musicians who really dug Higurashi, but were like, wow, this royalty-free music, this isn't going to cut it. So Ryukishi actually now has a team of composers, and we are in the era of Higurashi actually having not royalty-free original music.
Yeah.
I did notice that.
What did we think of the music this time around?
It fit, as usual, it fit, the moments. Like, when it was scary, it was scary. When it was sad, it was really sad. And, you did have the return of some of the royalty tracks. Like, I love how when a certain familiar protagonist popped into the story, you hear the like, I do love that song. But other than that, it's a lot of like original stuff. It still repeats a lot, like but I think that's intentional. But most of the time, I really did enjoy the music. There was one particular song though, and it wasn't even like the fact that it wasn't bad. It was just painful to listen to. It's the scary one where with the high pitched noises. Like I literally had to take off my headphones at points because it just hurt my ears. But I still kept it close so like I could get as much experience as possible. But just hearing like the high pitched like beeping sound, I hated it. I know it was like for a scary atmosphere, but I just didn't like it.
That's fair. That's
and again, nothing to do with the fact of the music talent itself. It was very good. A lot of the music did fit the themes. It just hurt my ears.
For me, it's like the soundtrack was good. It was hard for me to really notice the soundtrack this time, or at least maybe it's like once I get further into it and I can get a lot more familiar with these songs. But right now, it's like serviceable. I do have a story towards the halfway mark when Shion joins the rest to break into the storehouse. And she's talking about the thump 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 that's like nobody else seems to be reacting to, let alone hearing. And I think the next chapter, it was like I was hearing the thump 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 thump, and it's like, oh, that's some pretty good like soundtrack used right there. It's like actual thumps to add to the atmosphere. And then when I paused it, I was still hearing the thumps, and I was like, oh my god, have I gone insane? All the neighbors are playing the music loudly. So that's my experience with the Higurashi soundtrack.
You're really engrossed into this experience.
My experiences was don't watch that scene at late at night like I did. Oh.
You messaged us at like 8 in the morning.
That one I know what you're talking about. I know exactly which scene you're talking about.
Oh, it was fun and it was great, but like there were points where I was like, I had to go outside to let my dog out, and I would just like, I'm gonna play some happy, and I would have to play some happy music on my iPhone. Just to distract me.
Again, different for me because I've read Higurashi already, but especially when I am editing the podcast episodes, as I've started to do that at the time of recording, and I'm listening to the old tracks, I always find myself yearning for these. And I'll admit part of it, as much as, I always say that even on zero budget, Higurashi's really good. Having the improved sound quality is really nice. It's really nice, and I like the compositions. I think about a lot of my favorites, and they do come later, but the one track that always stands out from 5, because it's a track you hear a lot during Higurashi, or at least variances of it, a leitmotif, if you might want to call it that, is the melody. You hear it when Shion meets this guy that we're going to talk about soon for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
It goes... It's very nice. It's very nice.
It's very sweet, and it just produces like this carefree, loving like vibe. Like the music itself tells a love story.
It reminds me of Ellie's theme in that respect. I mean, obviously it's another example of leitmotif, but just a similar sort of like wistfulness, a very nostalgic track in and of itself.
I can't wait for it to get corrupted.
We shall see. Okay, alright, wow, we actually did talk about that one pretty quickly. Now, for the ones I'm sure we're going to be talking about these 2 points a lot longer. Yeah, we got to talk about this. So, we met Satoshi for the first time.
Yeah, I was like, damn, he had a sprite.
Yeah. It was the first... Well, technically Kasai was a new sprite, but... So what did we think of him?
It was...
Idiot?
No, not as much
I'm
as
just
an
kidding.
idiot.
I'm just kidding.
Not as much as an idiot. He's not Kichi, come on. Kichi's an idiot. Satoshi is, he's nice, he's caring, he will stick up for anybody who's in trouble, no matter what. That's how he meets Shion, and and at first she's like, who is this dude? And then he pats her head, and she's fucking smitten. It's not really clear if Satoshi kind of likes her back. One, because she's pretending to be Mion at this point, so it's like it kind of reminded me of a Shakespeare play of, oh, you're pretending to be someone else, but love happens.
They literally mentioned Romeo and Juliet during this.
They do reference, they even point blank reference it.
Yeah, I remember thinking, during that scene, I remember thinking to myself, like, we're going to talk about the podcast, and I'm sure Random is going to start talking about Romeo and Juliet. And then Shion says, I never thought it'd be Juliet. I was like, I'm in this story's head.
But at the same time, I was like, why can't they be together? Like, come on. I know he's, like, part of the family that betrayed everybody and the scapegoat, but, like, he didn't do shit. He just got abused by his aunt.
Yeah.
We also learned that he's Satoko's brother, and we get like a negative outlook on Satoko in this one. Because chapter 1 and 2, she was the most negative she got was she pranked Kichi. That's it. With 3, she was kind of idolized as like a god, almost like I will do anything for Satoko. And 4, she wasn't in it. So 5 is like, it goes from like I don't like her to I hate her to,
We'll get there.
So I'm just like, it was like, I first was like, oh no. I mean, I didn't think things would get as bad as they did, but like, this is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, how can you predict they get that bad, right? But my number one takeaway with Satoshi is that he's a precious cinnamon roll.
Oh, yeah.
And he needs to be protected.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know. Good luck, right? But my other big outlook on Satoshi, and I fall right back into this whenever I reread the question arcs, like even as recently as for the podcast. But every time I get here, I'm always reminded that it's like, everybody, and not to say that this in itself is inherently wrong, but everybody focuses on Satoko and how rough everything is for her. And again, that's totally, like, you should. But you also need to really, like, actually think about this. Like, none of us had really ever brought it up. Even when Wash was talking about Satoko and the others, it was always really about what Satoko had to go through. It's all about what she has to go through. But nobody ever really asked, what did Satoshi have to go through?
Yeah.
He's in the same situation as her, pretty much. Only he's the older sibling, so he has to force himself to be better put together than Satoko is. And it's very clear. It takes its toll. And they make sure to talk about how unhealthy that is. But yeah, that's always my takeaway, at least.
Yeah, it makes sense because in a way, yeah, we always think about Satoko because that's all we've seen. Now that Satoshi, we know he's more than just like a ghost, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
He existed. We actually see him struggle, and yeah, I can imagine it's a toll. Not just dealing with the aunt, but yeah, dealing with Satoko, because she gets to a point where she's so coddled that like even something as simple as just her dropping her rice makes her cry and call for Satoshi, and I'm like, I'm not saying
that's not coddling though. That's abuse. Like that's a response to the like if she does something like that at home, then she's expected to get yelled at.
Yeah, I know that's bad, but like it's stressful for both her and Satoshi, and just like could you imagine like
The thing about Satoshi's, like, without the baseball, because that's what, when things start really going, like, really bad for Satoshi, is when he has to quit baseball team. He exists as, literally just because of the family he was born into. Everybody treats him like dirt. He works a job, a manual labor job, goes home, listens to his aunt and his sister shout at each other, trying to be a mediator. They argue until about 1 a.m. He puts Satoko to bed. He has to prepare food for everybody, gets a small couple hours of sleep, and has to repeat the process pretty much every day of the week. And the only variance that he gets is when he doesn't have to go to school, so he gets to spend the whole day working and listening to his aunt and his sister shout at each other. Like, it's horrible.
I could imagine, and also, I think it said that, like, Satoko picks fights with the aunt as well. I think that's what I read. I could be wrong.
Yeah, because they don't get along. Like, Satoshi, I mean, they talk about this in the previous stories, but this one it's very clear. Satoshi is not a troublemaking kid. He's kind of a dork, actually. If you tell him to do something, he'll just go along with it. He's very, very passive. Satoko's never like that. Satoko will never, if, you say something to Satoko and she doesn't agree, she's not going to take it sitting down.
Satoshi is more like,
Yeah, or the worst thing you get out of them is that, very cute, very cute, very cute.
It's like you can kind of see that he wants to say something, but he's not that kind of kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Until like put into a situation like when Shion just fucking threw Satoko into the lockers, and like Satoshi is like pissed, obviously, about like this public abuse of a child.
Yeah,
Sister especially.
And just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I already have shit to deal with. Why are you doing this to me? Like, what? And just like bursting out like.
But Wash, don't you remember? He was mean to Shion. That totally justifies it.
What do you mean? No, I'm. Yeah, I'm not even saying mean. I like mean is implying is has some different implications here. Like he goes off, and rightfully so. Because what the fuck?
Hey, you got angry because the person you liked didn't want to talk to you today. Boo-hoo. Now I'm gonna throw his sister across the room into lockers and beat the shit out of her. Great, that'll get his attention.
Throw books at her. Like, what the fuck?
All while trying to be my sister. So yeah,
yeah, exactly.
That's like the final. It's like the cherry on top. Is that she doesn't get doesn't have to take responsibility for any of it.
Nope.
It's all Mion, and Mion's like, oh, thanks.
Oh fuck. I genuinely thought like that was gonna be the point where like the relationship soured. No, that wasn't it.
No, a lot of people easily forgive Mion.
This, I'm gonna talk about that, but I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, not Satoko entirely, at least not for like a whole year. But you notice, Satoko is a bit indifferent to her at the festival and kind of keeps to herself and just Erika. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to say about Satoshi. Like, oh gosh, the phone call. Oh, the phone call.
Oh god, the phone call.
The phone call.
I will leave Satoko to you, and Shion just like, and he just kind of hangs up. Was this still? Oh, she was still pretending to be Mion, right?
Yeah, it wasn't until
No,
no. At that point she was still pretending to be Mion.
she was.
She was pretending to be Mion. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
It wasn't until the confrontation with Uishi.
Yeah. Like their last moments together is when she says, "I'm Shion."
And he says that's a nice name, and
No, he says that's a beautiful name.
Fine, Mr. Stickles.
Let my ship happen. I mean, at least it kind of crapped itself, but honestly, it was great while it lasted.
Yeah, for all like 2 chapters.
2 minutes.
Hey,
well, like 2 chapters.
It was still
to be fair.
cute.
It's like 2 chapters. Then Shion is like, "Lol, I'm gonna throw chairs," and then they then like days later, they enter the shop and it's nice, and then Oishi shows up.
Because of that, she finally got to be honest with him and like, "Hey, I'm not Mion.
Yeah.
I'm Shion."
Yeah.
Which is funny now, but
yeah, that's something I'm sure we'll get to as we go along.
I love how, oh wow, they finally know that she knows that she's Shion, and oh, he says a beautiful name. Great! I cannot wait to see what these two do together for the rest of the story.
Oh.
Random, do you not remember the previous 4 books?
I didn't realize the timeline. I thought they would have at least one more moment together. Also, there's at one point where like Mion and Shion are talking, and she's like, he has an alibi. You did tell him an alibi, right? He was with us at the festival or something. And that made me think of chapter 3.
Yeah.
Yep, I was just thinking that.
When Mion was just like, you were at the festival with us.
That's the other big thing that really made me put the pieces together, because it's like Keiichi, he killed somebody. We don't know if it was Teppei or not, but Keiichi killed somebody, or at least he thinks he killed somebody. Whatever. And the setup is like Mion said in book 3. The setup is like exactly the same. That's really what made me lead to believe my first time through that it's like, yeah, no, Satoshi killed the aunt. This is like super.
Yeah. It's really hard for him for me to not think that when this man does not have a poker face.
Yeah, like when Oishi's like, "Hey, what were you doing?" and Satoshi's like,
I'm trying to think of what else is Satoshi, but he's a sweet guy. He's just, like you said, he's a sweet cinnamon roll who tries to be caring and take care of everybody. But yeah, if you push him to the limit, he will get angry.
Yeah, so Wash, what are your takes on Satoshi?
I get why she's smitten, I suppose. And I can see. I think it's like I'm trying to think of like, what do I think of Satoshi? I don't know. He was there. I mean, he was definitely in the book.
He was there and then he wasn't.
And then he wasn't. And Shion just created this version of him. And then Satoko died, and they rejoined together in heaven? ?
I get the feeling you weren't that big of a fan of him.
If I'm not a fan of him, I couldn't tell you why I'm not a fan of him. Because I didn't see anything wrong with Satoshi really. I guess maybe I didn't get enough of Satoshi beyond just like how terrible of a situation he's in, and that he's just kind of nervous and overworked and tired. But I can't give you much on Satoshi.
But Wash, he's the best thing ever. He's worth obsessing over.
Yeah.
He's worth killing for.
I would die for Satoshi.
I would die for such.
I'm from Canada.
Oh, could you imagine?
I'm from Himnamazawa.
Could you imagine? That's the biggest plot twist of Higurashi, Satoshi. The Hojos in general, they're from Canada.
So that's what. That's what's wrong with
That's
him.
why
Of course,
people.
he's
That's why
Canadian.
they get murdered. They're outsiders.
Yeah, literally.
It's like that Ed and Eddie line where Double D said, "Even if it was Canadian, heaven forbid." I know. I can't tell you why. I don't have a strong opinion on Satoshi as of now. Maybe I'm at a similar point where I was with like Satoko at the first book. I was like, I don't know how to feel about you right now.
My thing is, I think I like him. Like, he's sweet and all, but like, and I wouldn't quite call him a love interest character. Like, he's not like
He's a love interest.
the love interest in Soho, for example. Like, he has a personality.
Oh, yeah, he's much better, much better.
It seems like along with this, to tell the bigger picture of the story, he's more the motivation for Shion to do what she does. And also, she really obsesses about him. Like, really. Like, ever since she meets him, it's just like, Satoshi this, Satoshi that, Satoshi. Oh my. Like, girl.
In her words, like, everything else is boring. He's the only thing that's, like, not boring.
I feel like the most interesting thing to say about him is in relation to Shion.
Exactly.
In my book, the most, like, everything interesting with Satoshi is in terms of the mental health. But, I mean, in terms of, like, the character himself, all cute cinnamon roll comments aside, I just kind of like how, I guess, down to earth he is. Especially in a story like this where the stakes are so high and things get very emotional. Satoshi is very down to earth until, of course, he has his moments where the keg ignites, and it's all about Satoko. It's always Satoko. When Satoko's not in the equation, he's fine, but when the topic of Satoko gets brought up, he just gets very upset, very angry. It's all for Satoko. And you get to see how that takes a toll on a person.
Yeah. I feel like this is a chapter where that will be most explored because we see it. I could be wrong. I could most certainly be wrong. For all we know, we can get one where Satoshi is the protagonist.
Thank God for Satoko actually learning how to chop. Because, good God.
Poor boy. He was like... I mean, to be fair, I was like that with the first day at the grocery store where I work at. But, like... So I'm like, I feel you, bro.
So we'll talk about Shion, but the first thing before we even talk about her, when did you realize, and if you try to pull any fast ones, I will confirm things, when did it click to you that it was Shion the whole time in Higurashi 2?
Let me look, because there was a specific point where I was like, so wait, you're telling me that the victim of the conspiracy fabricated the entire conspiracy? I think it was either chapter 10 or chapter 11?
Mine was chapter 9. Oh, wait, no, it was chapter 10. It was chapter 10. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think it was chapter 10.
Like, when Mion gets locked up, and I'm like, wait a minute. Why is Mion locked up if she's the Oh, fuck. Because I just put two and two together. And by the time they, like...
Like, I was literally, like, thinking... Okay, how is there a way they cannot do this? Like, is there a way where maybe Mion gets out of the cage, they swap back, and she's still calling on the phone? But you know what, Random? Good news, Random. When in book 2, when we said, Casey, you idiot, that's still obviously Mion on the phone, not Shion.
Yes.
We were right.
Yes.
I'm gonna say, Oh god damn it. Yeah, she played Kichi like a goddamn fiddle.
When I was looking back at the Higurashi, I don't remember if it was the episode for 2 or 3. Shion was shaking Kichi on the ladder, but she said he disappeared. And I was like, that's something that Mion never says. Why would she say that? And I said it, and I'm like, oh shoot, did I just like blatantly tell them? Looks like I didn't.
No, I didn't notice.
There are a lot of signs in 2. Because normally I'm really not a fan of the twin swapping thing. But not only is like the entire first half of Higurashi 2 about telling the difference between the twins, but also there's a lot of little things that are very obvious in retrospect, but you might not, apparently, don't get on your first go. I didn't get it either. You don't have to worry. This one.
Yeah, I remember specifically one of the huge problems that I had was why is Mion getting this upset all because Kichi didn't give her a doll?
Yeah.
Like, it seemed very unrealistic to me. And they mentioned a doll, and she gets appropriately upset. Like, she's even the crying, I'll be like, yeah, because they flat out they kind of toy with the idea of like, does Mion like Mion and that we know like Kichi, but they flat out say like, yeah, she likes him.
Yeah.
But she just gets a little bit upset. That's it. And I'm like, okay, how is this going to lead to her going crazy? But that's just Shion being a manipulative bitch.
Yeah. And I mean, the part that like stings the most, and definitely why I like Shion, but I'm not crazy about her, is that I genuinely think that everything she does here, like, it fits.
Oh my god, like, she's one of those people who you love to hate.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
And at parts I was like, okay, maybe there's some redeeming qualities to her. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. It's not gonna be like as bad as Kichi when he turns.
No, you're right.
Boy,
it's not that bad. It's worse.
It's so much worse.
So I guess my follow-up question, because I already pretty much told you what my take on it is. What did you think of Shion being the culprit for book 2, at least? Again, we're not really... Who knows? We'll find out if Shion was responsible for everything, or if it was just the tragedies of Higurashi 2, and by extension 5. But what did you think of the twist?
Here's I can give you my vocal response, which was something along the lines of, okay, but ow, my brain.
So you loved it.
There's a lot to unpack with this fucking thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I hate that book 2 is the least favorite book that I have, because I'm like, fuck, if I really want to enjoy it, I have to go back to it again, and I'm like, I don't want to, because it's book 2.
It's like, okay, I get it. It's just, why is this called the Answers arc again?
Yeah, like, it is a mystery. He's not going to answer everything at once, but as far as everything that Shion does after that, the final, like, 4 or 5 chapters are pretty clear-cut answers.
Who's actually responsible for all this? Why did Rika just come in with a needle ready to murder? Why did she stab herself by running directly into a knife and turned? Who is supplying the needles? Although we have a good suspicion.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I have theory too.
and like the Sonozaki, like, this whole time is just like, wait, hold on. Who's actually, like, it's cool that people fear us, but like, which one of you is actually doing this? Could somebody tell us, please? Like, we still have, like, genuine questions that we need to ask.
Yeah. It's kind of like a good mystery leaves 2 questions with every answer.
Yes.
But, like, I think Kirby's point is that everything involving, like, book 2 that we had questions for makes sense. Why did Mion suddenly turn on us? It was Shion. Well, how did Shion get caught? She didn't. Mion got caught.
Why was Mion's body found in the well when he visited Casey and stabbed him? Who pushed Shion down the apartment balcony or whatever it was? Okay, fine. If you're talking about just specifically book 2.
Yeah.
But
book 2 is where we really get a lot of the answers.
Very specifically, yes. So it turns out that the conspiracy was the friends we made along the way.
One of those friends.
And like, I'm trying to think of what else, but that was the main thing. And then, just to confuse us with the whole who's Mion, who's Shion thing even further, like, you planned this. I know you planned this when you were like, which one do you actually think, who do you think was actually Mion or Shion? When with Kichi.
Yeah.
Because even there, I don't even know if the story knows it anymore at this point. Because at first it's like, Shion is Shion and Mion is Mion. But Shion pretends to be Mion. For Satoshi, Mion is just hanging out. Then Shion reveals that she's Shion. But then later on the festival, they find out, and Shion can't be Mion anymore. She's Shion. But when things go crazy and she stun guns the hag, fucking stun gun.
Again, all lines up.
She's like, wait, I'll be Mion now. And she goes, Shion, she pretends to be both Mion and Shion, literally, sometimes like minutes apart from each other. And then the whole thing is like, but wait a minute, I remember when we were little, and you wanted to try the asparagus, Shion. I was the real Mion, but then I got turned to Shion. I deserve to be the, successor. I'm really Mion and you're Shion. And Xehanort pretended to be Ansem. There was a man behind the curtain trying to be the wizard. I'm Spartacus, and I'll...
No, hold on. But I'm trying to get this straight. I made my house a mess, which was making it clean, which made Squidward clean my yard, but that actually means he's messing it up. But the opposite of clean is filth, which means filth is clean. That means Squidward really make my yard is wrecked. But I don't know when you wreck my own yard, it means that Squidward's being the opposite of Squidward, it means it's SpongeBob. Aha! I understand everything now.
Who are you people? When you think you know things, you don't.
The other thing is, it's funny that this is called the Answers arc, when the whole the catalyst for all of this is that nobody gave Shion a straight fucking answer.
No.
Like, everyone is just like,
It's the same thing with Keiichi, the reason why everything happened. It's just the difference is that Keiichi reacted by being sad and afraid. Shion reacted by saying, alright, well, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, there's one point that makes me laugh. There's one point where she's talking to Keiichi, and she's like, maybe they're just trying to, kill everyone around us, then get to us. And then she's like, ooh, I like this
I love
idea.
that part. I
was like, all right, Miss Bond villain.
It's such a raw line.
Yeah. And, it gets to the point where, I don't want to say cartoony, because no.
I mean, I just quoted the SpongeBob quote.
But there's a point where I'm just like, okay, you're crossing the line of borderline evil. But yeah, she's being possessed by the demon. Because there's a one point early on where she's like, the demon's gonna take over to me. No, I'm not gonna let that happen. And I'm like, that's weird. Shouldn't Neon experience that? Little did I fucking know.
I am A-okay with most of the explanations here. I think they make sense. I think you guys are overthinking it. You really can just label most of the answers as it's Shion, not Mion. But the one that always gets me, because it's the one that it's like, all right, there's no hints towards this, other than like what Random said, is you're Mion, I'm Shion, but actually you're Shion, I'm Mion. That's always the one that it's like, that does not feel earned to me.
They reference it like for a split second.
Yeah.
Before. And because no, literally I write in the notes in one of my chapters like, wait, did they just say that they switched birth? It's in one of the tips, I think. I'm not sure what it was, but there was like some point where I was just like, wait, you were just gonna gloss over that? Hold the fuck. Wait a minute. And then it doesn't come back until like I feel like this is a lazy way, like, oh, this is a weird twist. We should put it in the story somewhere to like make it more natural. And that little line. There you go.
The worst thing about it is that it's like it's clear that Shion is off the deep end. So if Mion wasn't confirming it, I'd be totally fine with it because it's very clear that it's just Shion trying to justify everything.
Yeah,
Poor Mion here rotting in a cell doing. And I would be totally okay with that, but once Mion is like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I swear that wasn't my intention, it's like, oh, somebody else confirmed it. This isn't just
It's real.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was feeling the same thing where I was kind of hoping that it would just her like breaking.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, I don't feel like it needs that twist.
Same. That's what my problem is.
Like what is it here for?
If anything, it's maybe here to be like, oh, see, Mion isn't evil. She's just Shion, and Shion is the real villain.
It's the real demon, I guess. I can see the justification of it being random. I forget which one of you said it, but it's like, oh, Shion is the real demon all along. Well, I feel like it's like maybe I'm still on the camp that maybe there isn't an actual demon here.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Shion would listing the possible culprits and just like very quickly skipped over Rika?
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
Well, just like it felt like the Sherlock Holmes thing where it's like when you take away the impossible, whatever is less, however improbable, and all that. It's like it feels like you just you too quickly took that away.
I mean, to be fair, I also overlooked because she's like, if it weren't for book 4, I would have overlooked that. I would have been like, oh, Rika's just a little girl. She's not capable of anything like that.
Random, we're in book 5. We're in book 5. Of course, even ignoring book 4, like the kind of stories that we've already seen here.
Yeah.
But we've never
the
seen
baby shot Mr. Burns. Fuck it.
But this is the first time we've actually seen Rika be aggressive at all. And I don't mean like verbally, because verbally she was aggressive in 4, but like we see her like do like freaking ninja moves and trying to stab Shion with the syringe.
Spraying her with the pepper spray, possibly. It's implied to be a pepper spray.
Yeah, I mean the after effects of being sprayed with pepper spray is
yeah.
I mean, I guess it could just be like a random mysterious object of unknown origin, but we can just go with pepper spray. It's fine.
Pepper spray makes sense. I hope it's pepper spray. I don't want to know what else it is. And then we see good old syringe again, which I imagine is the same syringe that's been in all the previous ones. Which were there syringes in others besides 1?
They're like mentioned, but never really. I think in 2, there's a syringe somewhere that Rena spots, and how she helps her put everything together. Oh, Rena, I remembered her.
Oh God, that whole freaking.
We'll get to that.
I relate with Shion when she was like, "Wow, she's good. I hate her."
But anyway, back to the whole Rika scene, because she's just, I want soy sauce, which is something you would expect.
Actually,
Rika to do.
Random, really quick, you'll get back to it, but like now that we have the answers, how freaking funny is it that Rena literally got everything right except for one detail?
Oh
what do you
yeah,
mean?
that's right. The direction of the call.
Yeah, like literally word for word, she got the phone call, right?
Yeah. The only thing she didn't get right was that, like,
Yeah.
I'm Shion.
Yeah, that was the one thing.
Rena's a good detective.
Yeah, so it's like she pieced together that, but she couldn't piece together the why.
Exactly, and the why, which is what stops everybody at this point. Beyond Shion.
Oh my! The funniest that part was so fun. Like she bluffed, like Shion like successfully bluffed twice.
Yeah.
In this book, and like she was telling this whole story, including like fabricating parts of the conspiracy. And then she was like, "I even have a demon tattoo. I can show it to
Yes.
you. It's okay. You don't have to show it to us, suckers."
That
Oh my god.
Shion really tried.
Anyway, Rika tries to stab Shion, which is very interesting because, like, when she gets, like, the syringe stabbed into her, she goes full on demon. I'm very thankful they don't show visuals because
The number one
They
thing with what happens with Rika is at the very end, after she's done with everything, she starts clawing her throat.
Yep. Which confirms the syringes are what killed Tomatake.
Yes. Well, I mean, there are a few big biggies, I guess. She has that smile that she had in Higurashi 4. She brings up this Hanyu, whoever that is.
Yeah, I was curious who that was. Which I have a feeling we'll find out in book 7 because Rika's cover art is there.
We'll see.
I'm basing all.
We'll see.
But we don't know. We don't know. We were not supposed to know yet. This is like, hey, you thought all your questions were gonna be asked? Well, fuck you. Rika's a demon, maybe. But like, and she just freaks out and like, and can I just say, there were 2 times, at least 2 times I can remember right now where I just felt sick to my stomach. That was one of them. Just the visualization of all that
the
blood
graphic
and her.
description of the knife going up and down the arm.
Like, I'm just
and
like,
then
come on.
and the screaming that went along with that.
I'm really glad I didn't watch the anime.
Did I talk about this on this podcast?
Yeah, off podcast, but you talked to me about this, Wash, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that like in between the time that we recorded episode 4, I was in a Discord group, and we just happened that they do anime night, and they happened to vote for the Higurashi series, the first one. I had to stop at book 4, at book 5, obviously. So I don't know anything that's happened from there, and thank fuck I didn't see what happened there. Because I would have quit at the trial with removing the fingernails. Because fuck that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my god. That's where else I got sick. Like, yeah. I literally messaged Kirby like, yo, I feel sick.
I do remember getting this message. I do.
I just the idea of it and the visuals and description, just like I wanted to, like, I felt uneasy, and like usually I can handle a lot of things, but that was just like, that was it. Like, that was just a moment where I was like, oh my god, that's a bit too much, and it's something so simple, but like, and just picturing the pain, just like, it literally made me physically ill.
No, that is the scary part. Like, I mean, yeah, it's descriptive, yeah, it's scary, whatever, but the fingernails, at least, it's something so simple, something so small, and it hurts that bad. That's the scary part.
I don't know about you two, but like I do tend to grow my nails out a little bit, and like once in a while I will make an action a little too quick, and I will pull my fingernail just a tiny bit, and like it's like 10 minutes where it just smarts.
Yeah.
Nothing, it's like there's no bruising on it, but it's like it's awful feeling.
Yep.
It's a very it's the kind of, it's the like the example of like when you see somebody get their head cut off, like it's like, okay, that's kind of stupid, but when you see somebody get a paper cut, it's like, ooh, ah, ugh.
Ooh, yeah, exactly. It's something you could experience.
Exactly. It's extremely plausible to have that sort of thing. And oh god, I'm still getting back to the arm, the getting stabbed through the arm.
Yeah, I'm really glad that there was no visuals. Like, could you imagine if it was like, we just see a bloody Rika? Like, if that happened, I would have been like, fuck no.
and also like the body was already dead, but when Shion gets the whip with the hooks and whips the grandmother and like the description of the parts of her scalp getting ripped off.
Oh my god.
I was getting flashbacks to book 2 and not good flashbacks. Just really morbid and horrific scenes, and the arm one I keep coming back to because like on paper this is a really sad moment for Satoko, who confesses that like she's keeping strong to so that maybe her brother can come save the day. And like that's really, really tragic, and I'm about to throw up.
Yeah, I was just about to mention Satoko's death. It was just like, ugh, like, because you know she's not going to be spared. Because
Shion's just completely gone off the deep end.
Yeah, she's wanted to kill Satoko since day one. Honestly,
yeah.
Like before she even met Satoko, like she just like knows about Satoko and just feel like, how dare her? How dare she do this to Satoshi?
Yeah, it was gross. It was bad.
It was gross. And the scene where they hug in heaven, that would have been a real tearjerker. That would have.
If I wasn't instead throwing up.
Yeah.
Like, there was some points it was rough.
We were having these discussions in the second episode, yeah, where it's like, where's the line? And obviously, the line is different for everybody.
Yeah,
I think it's rough. I can agree. I agreed with you wholeheartedly on 2, how it felt like it dragged. I think it's different here because, good or bad, regardless of whether or not you think Shion... Well, I mean, nobody thinks Shion was in the right. Like, nobody should. But there were motivating forces behind her actions, and with everything that she did, she either got one step closer to finding out what she thought was the truth, or she got one step closer to going even further cuckoo bananas than she already was. I will defend this in terms of that, unlike 2, it's going somewhere. Whereas with 2, it's just like the longer that story went on, the more it was like, okay, hurry up. This has nothing to do. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. Can we get back to this, please? And then I got to the nails.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got to the nails, and it's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do with the nails. You scared yet? Uh-oh. We're gonna hold off for a minute. Okay, back to the nails. You scared yet? Uh-oh, it's the police. Better get those nails done quick. And it's just like, okay, can we get a move on, please? With this, it's much more. Shion is very troubled. And again, like, by the end of the story, it's even Shion knows that it's like, wow, nothing that I did here was right. This is bad. But there is at least, and again, yeah, like Wash said, for sure, the line is different for everybody. If you can't stand it, if you don't like it, that's totally fine. I will defend it, though. I mean, I'm not thrilled with it. I can handle it. I actually find the VN more scary than I do the anime, because the anime, you just like, you see it and it's done. With the VN, like, you sift through it. You get the full force of her thoughts. The anime, the fingernail comes off. She's like, ow. She looks at her nail. She sees it's off. She turns to Mion and she's like, this is enough, right? Like, it's in her face. It's not, this is one little fingernail. There's no blood. How does this hurt so much?
This is what the imagination will do to you.
Yeah, no, the imagination is the scariest thing.
it was rough. The only time where I was like, oh, come on, was like when they were just like repeating dialogue word for word from book 2 near the end.
Yeah, for the most part, it was like fine because it was either really quick or enough of Shion's perspective was there where it was like, okay. But not the final chapter, the one that was like 20 minutes long of Shion stabbing Keiichi and then falling off the balcony.
The one that was like an hour.
Yeah, like second to
minutes.
last one. It's super long and like half of it is repeated dialogue.
Yes, exactly. Like you could have cut so much.
Yeah.
I was gonna because I remember when I was talking with Kirby Fan about the anime, and one of the things I noticed was that like just how fast it is compared to the VN. I mean, obviously because it's a completely different format. Like the VNs are books, and they can go into far more detail. But like the anime just runs past so much stuff, and it gets a lot of the core detailed, but there's a lot of this stuff that's like a lot of the atmosphere, a lot of the build up that just gets skipped over, and I can totally picture that like whatever episodes were for book 5, just like kind of very quickly going through the fingernail stuff, and then in here it's just really long and dragged.
Yeah. Again, the gory scenes are written very well. It's just that it's
well detailed gore. I can give you that.
But and I don't have a problem with that. I'd rather be grossed out than bored. But if I'm grossed out and bored, like 2, that's just because once they got past the stuff that was like already done, and we got to see the scene between Mion and Shion.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene where she's like, Satoshi wasn't really murdered by his granny was telling the truth. I don't think she would lie. That was great. And that was a cool little scene because it made Shion go, oh fuck, I did this for nothing. I murdered all the families for nothing.
Well, she refuses to believe that.
Yeah, she believed it initially, but then she was like, no, actually.
No, you're lying. Like, there's no way that all this happened and you didn't kill Satoshi. No
Which
way.
Which obviously means that Mion is right.
Yeah, the characters in Higurashi have a very strong tendency, which, I mean, I think I accused you guys of this like twice already, but the characters in Higurashi have a big tendency to overthink things. You can definitely tell.
Do you suppose this is a commentary on the audience?
I think.
Do you, I'll go even further. Do you think this is a commentary on mental health?
Yeah, crazy.
To add to what Random was saying about chapter 13, I think part of what makes it drag was that, like we said, like it was around like chapter 10 where we were like, wait, she created this whole thing herself. She just faked it. And then like chapter 11 is like, yeah, I guess we're going through this, and chapter 12, yep, I guess we're going through this. So by the time we get to chapter 13, we already know how this is ending. There's no long. I'm looking through. And aside from the very end where Mion confesses that they have no idea, like there are no real surprises in chapter 13.
Yeah,
I guess aside from like the Satoko like refusing to express pain to make us to seem stronger for Satoshi, but like you said, like we've already seen this.
I was because I'll even admit there's the points of chapter 3 where I was intrigued, and that was just like you said, the point where she's like, oh, let's make it a game, or when she's like, or what causes the laugh to happen, like right before Keiichi calls, or right during when Keiichi calls and calls Shion out. She's like, hey, and he's like, he questions her. He's like, "Oh, you're good." And I'm like, "Ooh, she's bad."
Bad to the
and I'm
bone.
like, that shit's cool. And I do like when she has a different perspective, but when it's like word for word, and it's just Shion and it's just Shmion. That's what I'll call her.
A lot of
Shmion.
people refer to them as Shion because they're very confused with the whole dichotomy of which is which. Which I'll get this point clear now. Like, regardless of what their birth names are, it's like Mion is Mion and Shion is Shion. Like,
okay.
just
all right.
I won't even tell you if like future stories ever elaborate on this or not. It's just like, do you remember in Higurashi 1 actually when Keiichi finds out that Rena's birth name is not Rena, but when they ask why, they're just like, well, Rena is Rena. It's the same here. It's like Mion is Mion, Shion is Shion.
But I like the idea of but I do say chapter 11 and chapter 10, chapter 11, or chapter 12. I don't have that problem because you do see Shion's perspective and some other surprises that you don't expect, like the attack of Rika and
when she snaps when Kimiyoshi tells her that Hojo brat deserved what was coming.
Yep.
Or, oh my god, the tension at the meeting when Shion was telling everybody about who went into the storehouse.
Yep.
Oh, that was really good. That was really good.
Oh yeah, and then the governor like slept her. It's like, he's a Hojo.
Yeah.
And the what you can make the thumbnail for this it just in giant text her saying, huh? Huh? What?
And can I just add, like, I know it's the same for Takano, but it's so much funnier with Tomatake. 5 in a row, this guy's dead.
The only time he lived is when he wasn't in the... No, even then he still died. Will he ever live? No.
This poor guy, I swear.
I was gonna say, like, what if, like, the next book or whatever, like Shion switches place with Mion, looks around the house and says, huh, what's this? A button that says swamp gas? What does it do?
I was waiting for, like, there to be some weird cockamamie thing.
Hey, what's with all these aquifer controls? What is this?
This house has everything.
There was one weird thing, and it happens for an instant. Teppei has a sprite for a second.
Yeah, yes, we got to see Teppei for the first time.
Yeah,
and it's like I saw him in the anime. It's like, oh shit, that's what he looks like. And then yeah, like all of a sudden, like we see him at the very end. Like he never speaks. We just see him like right there.
Which means,
and also not only that, but like Shion's mom suddenly has a sprite.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that
Towards
was
the very end, she does.
Super out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's in like a bonus tip. She gets it.
yeah, that's weird.
And I guess it's just one sprite because she really has no emotion other than neutral smile.
Then like slightly interested smile.
So we know they're coming back because they didn't have Teppei for 3.
Oh, actually, I can't believe I never thought to ask this. Like, I mean, I'm probably the only one that gets giddy when I think about him, the 3 of us, but like, I don't know, maybe you guys liked him. What about Kasai? What did you think of him?
I like Kasai.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're
great.
all on the same page about him at least. I like him too.
Speaking of people who get sprites, though, Kichi.
But like he suddenly has like the Sora vest. Just look.
He does. I was gonna say him. Actually, I was gonna say it's more like Roxas.
So ugly, I love it. It's Keiichi. We've never seen him, and now he has a sprite. We get to see him. He shows up. The old music comes back. Like,
and he's a pervert.
Yep.
The kids are like, Keiichi, we're here. The guys run away. The one kid is like, wow, Keiichi, you left that one guy with the nosebleed. You're tough.
Oh, and those fucking guys, they're a recurring thing now in the Misawa.
It's just the same guy.
They're just like they just really bad at parking their bikes, and they really get fucking angry.
It happened twice in the same book.
Yeah,
Casey does it in book 2, and so this is heavily implying that it happened 3 times in this timeline.
I'm telling you, these 3 are the killers.
Yeah. Just really pissed that they can't keep their bikes.
But yeah, it was great seeing Kim and Kichi a sprite. I love how she didn't, like, I love how in book 2 it was like, oh, will they get together? She seems like he likes him. It was all fucking act.
Yeah. Oh, she hates Keiichi. She grows to like him well enough, but her first impression is that this guy's an ass.
She looks to Keiichi as I look to Satoshi, where it's like, I get the appeal, not my thing.
But this also explains why Mion and Shion, they get along very well with each other in this chapter. I'm like, why are they freaking out with each other? Why does Mion get really angry at Shion during this? And then she's like, maybe I'll flirt with Keiichi. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Because she was being like, no, don't do that. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's messed up.
Oh, I made a joke. There's one point where Shion, when the whole Shion is Mion reveal, is like, you or Shion pretending to be Mion, you're the imposter. And I'm like, Shion's the imposter she vented.
She does say imposter. Yeah, I remember. Did they say Among Us at some point in the story too, right?
Yes, probably.
I forget where, but they definitely, I remember screen capping Among Us, and then I never pasted it anywhere.
Also, my boy, a man, Hugh Neutron is here. He gets his 2 lines.
Does he?
Oh God.
Yes, he does, and it's my favorite because he's like, hey, the Sonozaki girl's here to see you.
It's the line we already heard.
Yep, but it works because he says, which one is it, Mion or Shion?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forget. And he says, like, Mion and Shion. Yeah.
I don't even remember what Hugh said because I was just like, I was too busy laughing too hard.
Yeah. To that point, it's like, is it Mion? Is it Shion? I mean, we know, but it's like still.
Yeah, like because that is brilliant hilariousness. That's like foreshadowing comedy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Fun.
That's what I like about Ryukishi as a writer so much. It's like, because that is the one benefit of the word for word writing. You do get to see how it's like, okay, I understand how I missed a lot of this on my first reading, but also, like, in retrospect, it's like, God, it's so obvious. It's so obvious in retrospect.
Apparently, I knew about the twist all the way in chapter 5.
How?
Which was the chapter where Shion abuses Satoko, and just for some reason, at the end of this chapter, I wrote down that this means Shion was on the phone when Keiichi asked. Oh, no, wait. I think I know what it was. It was not about the ending of book 2. It was about there's a point in there's a point in book 3, because it was like when Keiichi asked. That was, and I just rewatched the chapter to confirm this myself. But when Keiichi was asking Mion, hey, could you please bring Satoko with you to the festival? And like Mion was having this very emotional response. It's like, this is the exact same thing that Satoshi said. And so that's why I wrote down. Does that mean that what was the person on the phone was actually Shion, and that's why she had that such a strong emotional response to that?
I actually never thought of that. That's actually really good. I'm honest. I never thought of that. That's really good.
But at the same time, at the end of this, like, Mion did confess that she also loved Satoshi and just never responded back.
Also, I noticed something. When it rains in Hinamizawa, shit goes down.
Yeah, rain's a downpour.
Yeah.
When it rains, just stay home. Just don't talk to anybody.
Someone will get murdered, or Rena will talk to you about Omashiro-sama's curse. Speaking of which, that whole fucking monologue of that whole scene where they're like in the rain.
Yeah, and this just going through the whole thing, and then like Shiana's like, what the fuck is this bitch saying?
Not to mention, I love how she says that, and this whole time she starts to hear footsteps like, Satoshi, is that you? And I'm just like, you motherfucker, that's a fucking demon. Maybe. What? You're hearing an extra step, you're going crazy.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one who was like, no, that's not a voice.
At first I was like, maybe, but then I'm like, wait a minute. No.
We're already this deep in.
Anybody else have anything left to say?
Oh, this also explains how like Uichi and Shino kind of Shion kind of. I'm sorry, I confused Shion with a villager from Animal Crossing. I apologize.
Of course.
But
wouldn't be the first.
Wouldn't be the first time. Uichi and Shion. Did I say it right? Yeah, Shion. They were like kind of knew each other in book 2.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
That's the
word. Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah.
That's the word.
It was a throwaway line, but damn it, I'm gonna mention it. There's the whole confrontation with Casey and the bikers. At one point, he's talking about the influx of Russian porns thanks to the end of the Cold War. It is 1983. I like, historians can disagree, but I don't think that the Cold War had ended quite yet.
That went into the 90s, right?
I
guess debatably.
It's like 89, 90, and then after the fall of the Soviet Union, like so much happened with all the different with the Eastern Bloc. So that's why it's just that like 83 was certainly when like things were starting to fall apart, but we're not there yet.
My rebuttal to that, Keiichi is just talking nonsense. It's whatever's coming to mind to keep these bikers entranced for so long until backup is coming.
Yep. Because there's anything we know about Keiichi is that he's good with his words.
He's very good at cold reading, to quote. I think it was Watch. It could have been random, but he's very good at cold reading. You know, if he's right or wrong, doesn't matter. You're there, you're listening, he's got you.
Oh, another thing was that like at the storehouse, like at one point like Takano starts telling the story, and there's some sort of line there where like she looked over and like Takano was telling the story and Casey looked bored. I don't think he was actually
He was not bored.
Yeah, he was not bored. But like she just kind of saw his neutral expression and it's like, he's not that into it. But like inside, he's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, that's what I wish we had more of in like chapter 13. Because in Shion's perspective, she's like, oh, Keiichi's bored, exactly. And Keiichi's like, oh my god. And I wish we had more of that in 13. I mean, we get most of the other chapters. I don't know why 13 is such a drag. The second half of 13 is such a drag. You pretty much have to question everything because, I mean, yeah, it's a mystery, but also, like, there's so much personal stakes to this, which is another reason why I'm not so bothered by, like, a lot of the horror and the gore. It is all very personal. I don't like when it's like, I don't want to say in service to the story, but when it's not in service to the characters, that's kind of when stuff like gore bothers me. But this is all very deep-rooted in our protagonist here.
Okay.
Like, when Shion gets her fingernails removed, the only reason she even does it is because they have Kasai and her uncle. And they're like, you know, the implication, well, it's the implication. Shion thinks this herself. But, you know, worse things are going to happen to them than what would happen to me, right? That's why I don't, it's rough, but I don't mind it so much because, you know, there are personal stakes. Ryukishi definitely excels at writing characters. Like, me and my friends have a running joke where it's like he doesn't know how to write stories, he doesn't know how to write characters. I think he knows how to write stories, it's just, they're very character-centric.
Exactly.
Yeah. Random, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What is your interpretation of the ending? As in the post credit of or not post credit, but like the final thing you see in chapter 14.
I had no idea. I was like, I thought this was gonna build up to some like jump scare or some shit, or something creepy, but like, no, it's wholesome.
It's possibly wholesome, but
I think this is, I think it's Shion, fuck. I think,
Oh my God.
damn it, she's not a deer.
God.
She's not a devil deer, although, that's so funny that Shino in Animal Crossing is supposed to be like a demon. So that's actually kind of funny.
were you getting to a point?
I think Shion is dreaming. Because at the end she
Okay.
kind of does regret everything, and maybe this is her envisioning the life that she wishes she had if she took care of Satoko.
If she listened to Satoshi and didn't go completely berserk, yeah.
Yes.
And the music definitely helps support that for
I
sure.
agree. I agree that this is potential. This is very likely like a dream. Maybe like the very last thing she sees before she dies. There's a good chance of that. And part of it is because like it's just kind of where the story seems to be going, and also part of it is like, hey, every one of these people is dead, except Rena. Rena's still here.
Weird, right?
So that's like it's like if it wasn't for Rena, it could very well be interpreted that like this is what heaven is, or this is what the afterlife is.
Yeah.
Cool for the rest of your life.
But here comes Rena foiling things again. No, that's so sad. It's so sad because it's like everything. Like, it's like you said. It's so nice and it's so wholesome, but you know that like this is never gonna happen.
No, this
It's so.
doesn't
Oh
actually
my
happen
God,
at
it's
all.
so sad. It's so mundane. It's just like Satsuko, eat your squash. I hate squash. Oh, you should eat squash. Keiichi's like, oh, I'm gonna eat all your squash, and Satsuko's like, fat chance. It's everything we so direly want, but we can't get.
I'll just make this quick because I feel like random just changed the subject too quickly. I do really like Kasai.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel bad for him. Like he's
Yeah.
just kind of he's got stuck in this situation with a brat.
Like, do you remember in Higurashi 2 when Kasai was driving them home and Keiichi's like, oh, you're a Shion and it sounds like it's a hoot, and Kasai's like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I give you a few days before she gets bored.
yeah, actually, like literally. I love
And
this.
I'm like, oh, is she really like that? And no, I'm like, she's really
She's actually like that with everybody except for Satoshi.
Yeah.
I do like one detail that I liked about, I mean, her becoming so obsessive with Satoshi is obviously bad, but I like how he pets her on the head and she's like, wow, did I really fall in love with a guy just because he pet me on the head? Kind of sounds like almost fairy tale-ish. And then she's like, I just want to see him again so I can like parse my feelings together. And the conclusion that she reaches is actually, I don't actually think I love him. I'm just enjoying this, the emotions that this is making me feel. And she never really comes to terms with the fact that it's like, oh, I love him, until she's confronting her grandma. That's when it's like, oh, well, I'm actually doing this much for this guy. I love how sheepish and dumb and cute he is. And like, he's definitely the kind of person that Shion would be drawn to. Like, I buy Shion, again, maybe not that obsessively, but I buy her falling for him because partially he's the first person who treated her different, other than, everybody, that she's related to. The first person who didn't know their circumstances and treated her differently from everybody else. But just also, she can pick on him, he takes it, pets her head, treats her different, and that's what she needs. And it's like, I think that works. And I don't even think her being obsessive doesn't necessarily, not work. It's just, it works, it's just unhealthy, that's all. And it's portrayed as such.
Satoshi came in at the exact right time.
Yes, exactly.
Because she is stuck in this situation where through a lot of convolution, she can't really step out of the house that much. And when she does, she doesn't get much to do, and she's extremely limited in where she can go.
Yep.
And then here comes somebody who gives her something to look forward to for once.
Exactly.
And that's another thing with we're talking about mental health, because that's a big thing, is that is like, unless you have that sort of thing, unless you have something to hook yourself onto, like there's just gonna be long periods of your life where you're just stuck with yourself and you just can't stand yourself.
Exactly. Yes. But it's also unhealthy to just latch all of that onto one person.
Exactly. And with very unrealistic, unhealthy ideas of stuff.
Exactly.
And expectations.
In a way, it's what I wish Scott Pilgrim became.
Honestly, I get that.
Is there anything else to talk about?
So I have one
question.
thing. I remember when I got to this point, my first time reading, I was like, "Ah, they changed it. That's a bummer." But this time, I'm like, "Oh, thank God they changed it." The afterword, where Ryukishi gives you the thought process behind what he was writing for the chapter instead of the bonus.
Yes.
I much prefer this. Even like the bonuses. I mean, the bonus for 4 sucked. We all agree. 1, 2, and 3, they were fun. I think they hold up. I think they're still a good time. But this is just so much more interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you hear like the author's you hear the author's direct perspective, and like it's like he's asking you like a book club prompt, like a book club question, where it's like, where is the line in sympathy? Where is the point where something is like where a character is just going way too far? And he says straight up, it's like, if you think that Shion was in the right, then like love her. If you think that she was in the wrong, then hate her. Then it's like his job is just to be a writer. He's just telling the story.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to interpret the character. That's interesting.
I like when he goes, "As for where I fall, he." And then he just moves on. He doesn't finish it.
Oh, really? This guy doesn't complete his thought.
Yeah, really. He keeps things into suspense.
Hmm.
To answer the question that he posed, I feel for Shion, but she loses sympathy points big time for abusing a child in Satoko. Like, that's where my line is.
Yeah,
but I think he did a good job with the writing. If he's just asking me, like, what do I think about this situation? She just loses. She just like, well written, but Shion just crashed and burned in terms of sympathy.
I agree. She's a very well written character, and I get where she's coming from, but that doesn't mean I agree with her and support her actions, because she could have done a lot of different things than what she did.
Oh yeah.
There's a point where the author says, "I hope you don't support you don't support the murders," or something like that.
Yeah. Don't murder people.
Please don't.
People, please. But like, where is the line where it's like, where somebody dying or somebody killing another is justified? And that's a good question. But I definitely agree that like, when that scene happened, when that chapter happened, and by the way, that's chapter 5. It's like we're like a third of the way into this book, and it just threw that way in, literally.
I was gonna be like, we're in chapter. I think there's one point where it's like, we're in chapter 5. What the fuck?
Like,
if this is happening now,
it's like Higurashi 3, where it's like, oh, it's happening really early. But I give Keiichi this. When Keiichi snaps in book 1, Keiichi snaps because he starts doubting his friends. Higurashi 2, you can really argue. I don't think he ever really snaps, and more just like he breaks, which is him confessing to being like, oh my god, like I killed them, which now we know is, again, it's Shion manipulating Keiichi into thinking that,
which makes her even more evil.
Yes. And then book 3, he
bitchy.
snaps. I mean, you could argue, is it like when he killed Teppei, after he killed Teppei, when Teppei came back? Like, there's a few different points, but every time that Keiichi snaps, it's like, okay, like this is it's built up to, and it makes sense. When Shion snaps, it's like Satoshi was under a lot of stress, which she already knew, and she was like mad at Satoko. But that just happened like, Shion is a loose cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like literally, all it took was Satoshi just having a grumpy morning. Like,
So here's
ow.
my question. Not to the extreme lengths that Shion believes, and this is a tough answer. You know, we can talk about this. It's fine. But do you think she's going somewhere with Satoshi is under too much stress and Satoko should... I don't want to say this in a way where it's like, oh, like what Shion came off as it's like, oh, stop crying, deal with it yourself. Not that. But that she should give Satoshi some space, respect Satoshi a little bit more, I guess.
I mean, it's tough.
It's yeah, because it's like on the one hand, it's like Satoko is going through so much, but on the other hand, it's like you really can't deny, especially after seeing what he has to go through, you really can't argue that Satoshi isn't going through equally, if not more, but he's older. So it's just like, it's so tough.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that I think the age is a major part of it, and also it's like they're both very clearly suffering from a lot of trauma. So it's just extremely unfair to put the burden on either of them.
Yeah.
Like at best, like I guess you could say share the burden, but that's also just something that's so hard to discuss with a child.
Exactly, yeah. It's because the only reason that I can even like bring it up, if Satoko, and again, not to say anything about any specifics, just talking about what we're presented here, Satoko is still, I don't want to say a brat, but she does argue with the aunt. Like Satoko is the instigator for all of this, which is kind of why I even have to ask to begin with, because things would be better for Satoshi if Satoko were to calm down a little bit, and things would be better for Satoko if Satoko were to calm down a little bit. So that's just kind of where again, what Shion said is totally wrong, but the point that she raises is a good discussion piece. Just not the way that she brings it up.
Yeah. If Satoko was more mature, which she does, I think, become a bit more mature when Satoshi leaves.
Yeah, because they do talk about that a little bit in book 3, and like, she definitely, when him leaving helped her grow up. It sucked that that's what it took. And it's not so much that it's like she said this, but it's something you very easily piece together. Like, she has to live with that. And now that she's out of her bad situation, she's calmed down, she's okay. She has to live with the fact that it's like, oh my god, I did this to him. Did either of you have any last second things, or?
No, not that I can think of on my notes.
I'm sure there's like tiny things that I noticed, but
one more thing I'll mention, because it's in the motif at the beginning. I've noted that there are lots of times, especially with Mion, where she'd go, I'm sorry, and I'm like, interesting.
There's a lot of apologizing in Higurashi, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'll say this. It's in the same chapter too, so that helps. We're in the internal monologue. Shion says, "I won't pretend to be some tragic heroine," and that's quite the twist up there.
Putting it lightly, yeah. Okay, final thoughts time. Who? Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be a rush to see who goes first.
I'll go first then. There's a lot of this that I could do less with. Mainly it's because it's like it's some of the worst parts of book 2 and worst parts of book 3, like the gore and the child abuse. That was very, very hard to sit through. It certainly does you one up. So it's hard for me to. I guess I can really say that I enjoyed myself more, but it was also just like, what in the fuck? So, it answered. The answer to everything was that nobody gave Shion a straight answer, since he just made them up herself.
I mean, not that rankings are super serious since you're only reading these ones, but Like
Yeah,
right now, it was book 3, book 1, book 4, book 2. I would say you put this in between 2 and 4, I guess, or am I wrong?
Yeah, I think that's a good spot. I think I found more stuff interesting about book 4. Even though there's so many things in this to delve into, especially with just like what it means for book 2. But I think I could feel because I found myself more engaged and entertained with book 4. So I think that's a fair spot. That said, there's a good gap between 2 and 5. So it's 2 is like book 2 is hard. It's very hard to deal with. Yeah.
And I'll tell you my final thoughts after I take Rory out.
Oh no! You're leaving us on a cliffhanger.
She has to go. I'm sorry.
All right.
Oh my god.
All right.
So
Well, this is gonna be. I'm gonna be editing.
Satoshi.
She has to go. I'm sorry. Rory.
Random. It's your turn.
I like the book. It was interesting on how like, I remember thinking with book 3, I was like, wow, we saw Kishi go off the deep end. I don't think we'll see anything worse than that with our main character. And then the writer proved me wrong. Like by the beginning, I knew Shion wasn't gonna be the typical protagonist like Jichi because, well, obvious reasons, but also because like she's not a good person. Or maybe she is, but she's not mature and she's not mentally well. Which is great because that makes her interesting. And more than just Mion's twin. I like how dark this gets. No book has ever made me sick yet. Until now. So good job on there. You'll finally reach that point. I like that it answers some questions. I don't mind the twist about Shion being Mion and Mion being Shion, no matter how much I made fun of it. It's still kind of cool. I do like the twist that Shion was the one behind pulling the strings the whole time. It was overall a good experience. Chapter 13 really dragged. But other than that, it was pretty decent. I would say maybe the storage house scene might have dragged if it weren't for the thumping. That just made it intense.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I get to finally get that from Shion's perspective.
Yeah, because it didn't matter that they were possibly repeating dialogue. You just hear thump thump, and they just like it's just more and more aggressive. We still don't know why that happened.
Although, based on my experience, it's very well that somebody was just playing hip hop music right outside, and she's the only one that noticed. Who knows?
Who knows? We'll never know. Anyway, I thought it was alright. Pretty good. Do you remember how I ranked them? Because I don't.
We all have the same ranking. 3 is all our favorites, then 1, then 4, then 2.
I don't know if it's above 2. I don't know whether to put it above 4 or not. No.
Hey, once again,
it's
I'll
Buichi in a bathrobe. Yeah. Your final thoughts.
Alrighty. When I went through pre When They Podcast, I ranked Higurashi 5. If I'm not mistaken, I ranked it 3rd. It was 3rd or 4th. I can't remember if I had it above or below 3. I think I had it above. I'm pretty sure that I had it above 3. Yeah, no, now I'm thinking about it, I definitely had it above 3. Not anymore. I mean, 3 isn't like as amazing and perfect as I remember, but it's still like phenomenal, and phenomenal this is not. My problem really just comes from the repeated content. That's what my biggest issue is. Like, it feels like it's padding. There are a lot of terrible things that happen. This is probably just... I have a feeling this is it's just a difference in... I don't want to say perspective, but just like... And I know a part of this is because I can handle it better. I guess I'm just better at handling descriptive horror. But when I'm reading it, I'm not, so much thinking like I'm gonna barf. I'm thinking, like how like just straight up horrifying it is or how sad it is. And that does let me enjoy it more, I feel like. But, the repeated content and especially that second half of chapter 13. When I was recording and I got to that, and I was just like, are we really doing this again? The exact same part that I didn't like in Higurashi 2, we're doing this again. But no, overall, I did really like it. I definitely like it more than 2. I'm not going to give it the edge over 1. Higurashi 1 is just one of those stories I feel like I could read it 1,000 times. I've read it like 8 times at this point, so that's not going to be hyperbole for much longer. I think I do have to give it the edge over 4, though. It just feels like they're both complete stories, and 4 definitely has time on its side. But I just think that, the questions that are raised and kind of like the themes of the story being really, and just the music being like real music, not just royalty free. That doesn't have anything to do with the story. I'm just very happy that Ryukishi finally got, the attention he deserves. Also, I know I like cute guys. Satoshi's a bean. I love him. I can't help it. I wouldn't kill people over him like a certain somebody that we read about, but I really like him. And That's my 2 cents.
Makes sense. All right, and that's book number 5. 3 more to go.
Yep, 3 more. Yep. 3 more of the original run. We'll see if we do anything more. We'll keep that a secret for now.
Indeed.
Oh, okay. The next story, Higurashi 6.
Oh, no.
I don't want to put any false expectations of it being really good or really bad in your head. Oh, it's taking so much out of me not to talk about it.
I'm trying... Who's on the cover? I think it's Kishi.
Don't look. I mean, the books are out. I guess you can look. I was going to say don't look, but it's really like...
It's the cover art for the Steam page.
Well, sure. But Higurashi 6 is next. Can I at least tell you what like the fans think about it? I will say this. Another thing that I like about 5. I like how, with exception to 2, this is another thing I don't like about 2. With every book, you really see Ryukishi evolve as a writer. I mean, Higurashi 1, it's his first story, cool. Higurashi 2, it's a little different, I guess. But Higurashi 3, it completely changes the formula. Higurashi 4, it introduces you to a totally new character in a same environment, but a totally new environment. And then the 5th one is about a character that doesn't even live there. For most of the story, she's not in Hinamizawa even. And Shion is just a very different character in general to Keiichi and Akasaka. So every single story, you really get to see Ryukishi try to... I don't want to say one up. He's innovating his works. And I really appreciate that. And that trend will continue into 6. I can say that much.
Okay.
There's so much I want to say about 6. Oh my god. But we'll just leave it at that. While I go crazy, metaphorically, not literally like Shion, trying not to talk about 6, watch, plug.
If you like what you listen to, then you can listen. If you like what you listen. I'm going to at least do that pause so that you can maybe cut that out.
Oh, we shall see. We shall see.
She's not going to.
What's my stance on it? If
you liked what you listened to, then you can follow us on our Twitter account at WRK Podcast, and we'll let you know when the next episode comes out and when the next series comes out at that. And also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WRK Podcast. and you can listen to us in audio form at wrk.simplecast.com and wherever else you get your podcast. Thank you very much.
You said that very pleasantly.
Yeah, there's like a suaveness to your voice.
I if I talk fast, I stutter. So I try to slow myself down at least and turn into Rika.
Me.
And
Me?
Oh, me.
pulls out syringe.
Me.
Did either of you see that GIF of this is probably just a thing for the Discord server that I'm in, but they post the GIF of Rika looking kind of sad, and then her hands approach you.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
I've not seen
I've
that.
seen it.
No.
I've seen it.
Yeah, that's what I just keep thinking back to.
Well, send that to me afterwards. They want to check it out. But anyways,
yeah.
Until next time, I'm random bystander here. Neither Mion or Shion.
I'm the Shosh, the Wash's secret twin sibling.
And I can't tell the difference between broccoli and cauliflower.
Wait a minute. The broccoli and cauliflower is a metaphor for Mion and Shion.
I hope you know that's staying in. I'm sharing that to everybody I know.
It probably was.
Good night,
Meanwhile,
everybody.
Ryukichi's just like, finally, someone got it.
Finally. What? I've been spelling it out all these years. Good night.
Good night.